Hey guys, thanks for joining us again this week. I'm Daniel Gonzalez with Preferred Flooring. We got Jose and John this week with us. We're going to be talking about tackling projects. Every project has its own issues and how to deal with those. We've been on a few of them lately that were ridiculous. So
Yeah, the little less delightful projects always make you appreciate the ones that run smooth. That's for sure.
as you notice, Paul isn't here this week. He's working or something. I don't know. So
So bear with us because that dude, he's really good at getting the right questions and getting everything started. So this is going to be our first time trying to get everything rolling by ourselves. So please feel free to chime in. Daniel can see any messages or any questions you guys have. But the only thing that we have to go off of are items that we've experienced and that we've encountered. And we've had quite the roller coaster the last couple months with the amount of work that we've been receiving and performing and having to scatter the guys. And there's just been a lot of issues from logistics to scheduling
I
to
don't even think they can hear us on
false
the line.
expectations set by either the salesman for the store that we're working with, or what we're running into a lot lately is the YouTube educated clients. We're not getting any.
Oh no, the mic's working. It's just these two are usually when Paul is talking, but those ain't gonna be working today anyways.
Okay. So I guess go ahead, Daniel, get started on some of the issues that we've seen.
Oh man, we do quite a bit of hospital work, and lately what we've been running into is time constraints, right? So you get into a hospital, and especially when you're doing hallways, they give you a certain time frame, and you got to start at this time, you got to be done at this time. It has to be walkable, and comes into a little bit of an issue, especially when that hospital, once you're on site, you're already there starting, and then they're like, oh, by the way, instead of having this walkable at 8 a.m., you only have until 6 a.m. now, and it's like, all right, what can we do to start mitigating that? And one of the focuses that I want to talk about today is getting to know your reps, right? So this is the brand that we use. Our rep is amazing, and that's one of the main reasons why we use that brand, is because if I call them right now, I know I'm going to get a text message or a phone call back within a few minutes, because either he's busy right now or he's going to answer and lead me through my issues. So getting to know your reps is really, really important. Not only do they have all the information, but you may think that you have to do things a certain way, and it's totally different. I mean, that's what we've realized throughout the past few years is, okay, maybe we don't know everything, and that's kind of how you got to start approaching things. And even when we do think or actually know that we're the process that we have to do, it's really reassuring that he's just a phone call away saying, well, you already know what's going on, you don't really have to call me, but I just need to make sure that everything is going to be done right. So
It's the same thing too. Like when you have your crew on site, and they call you, or like our crew calls us. It's reassuring that you're making sure that you're taking those necessary steps, because with the amount that our products change, it's hard to feel or say that you do understand the process when it might have been 3, 4, 6 months since the last time you might have looked at some of the information on the back of a bucket of adhesive, or looked at some of the installation specs or some of the requirements. That help in those scenarios is reassuring that you have someone to call. we have someone to call. You know, we don't know everything, and we try to know a lot about everything, but it's hard to keep up.
So you just gotta to know that, I mean, even if you wanted to call us, you can just call someone to get that reassurance that the project, the issues that you're having on that project, there are solutions. You just need to know which ones to make. So,
A lot of people don't know this guy right here. This guy's John. He helps us, John Curtis. He helps us out with our day to day, and he tackles a lot of those issues for us. He manages a lot of the day to day issues that we might not have time to take care of. But he's really good with people. He's really good with time management, and he's got a great skill set with helping the guys get kind of out of the rut that they're in, and that you can get in when you face some of these issues day to day on a project, as far as scheduling or unforeseen conditions. And it's pretty good at helping us organize it. You have anything you want to add to any of what we're talking about, John?
So far, I'm just kind of taking it in and waiting to see where I can chime in on what you guys have.
so the hospital project that we've been talking about, the time constraints, right? So we've been doing a lot more self-leveling lately. Not only is it going to give us a better overall finished product, but we've noticed that it's really underutilized in the industry, and that not only is it going to save time, no, you can't skim it and start installing that day, but it is saving the time from having to do multiple skim coats and skim, wait. This way you're just going there, you're doing the system underneath the self leveler, and then you're pouring and leaving. Come back tomorrow and hit the ground running. We've had multiple projects that have happened this way, and our reps have been amazing to help us out with it. That's just one aspect of an issue that can pop up on the job site. You know, there's multiple issues. These guys have been dealing with scheduling like crazy lately because commercial projects like to move all over the place.
Yeah, and
So
that's the thing too. Is like I'm going to try to play like the outsider looking in here, but as far as like managing employees and skill sets, where are people on that? Daniel, what are your views on that? John, what are your views on that? Do you guys
having to know when and where to put certain people,
Yeah,
I think it's always a struggle, because there's always going to be, you know, those new guys that regardless of where you kind of send them, there are going to be times throughout the day where they're going to essentially just be standing around doing nothing, right? But that's when you gotta kind of take them under your wing and kind of just explain to them what you're doing while you're doing it. As far as knowing where to send them, sometimes it's flip of the coin.
Yeah, it's a crapshoot. Like, I hope this works out for the best. In my mind, this is gonna work out, and it actually does. In reality, is crapshoot.
there's a lot of variables. You know, so I think we've only ran at most 12 guys total, right? Not including
Well,
subs.
before,
Right. Not including like subs that work for us at the same time that we have other projects going on. But you know, that's some people only run 2, some people run 12, some people run hundreds. I mean, I'd like to pick everybody's brain. I'd like to know what you guys do on all that. How do you guys classify and organize those as a subcontractor versus employee? You know, this is kind of an open format. Any information or any questions you guys have would be great to hear on that. Because I'd like to learn, to be honest with you. I'd like to learn a little bit more on how to handle that, how to approach it. Another thing that goes hand in hand with that is the logistics, right? The materials, the tools, what equipment, Are you set up to deliver your own material? You set up to deliver your own heavy equipment when you need it for removal or for installs? Is there a drop shipment of material going to site? Are you guys receiving and then bringing it to site, handling it multiple times? You know, how does that go about? What challenges do you guys face, and what way do you guys solve some of those logistic issues?
And then just, kind of moving on, we can talk about, something that no floor guy ever really wants to talk about, right? Is asbestos. What do you do when asbestos, you find it, right? First things first is you got to get it tested, because no one can just look at something and know that it's asbestos.
Yeah. Do you know where the closest testing sites are? Is it something you have to mail in, something local? What's the turnaround time? Do you know the requirements as far as how much material they need for testing? How much of the adhesive they might need for testing? On top of that, are they qualified? Are they certified? How busy are they? What's your time frame? There's just a lot of variables when it comes to that as an issue, and I know that everybody handles it a little bit differently, but
We've just seen a lot of guys on the sites, right? And they go in there and they take a picture or something, and they're like, "Hey, do you guys think this is asbestos?" And it's like, "Go get it tested." Well, they don't want to get it tested, and it's like it's always the runaround. But I think the most recent one was someone asking about encapsulating it, but doing a direct glue right over it, and
setting the next guy up for failure.
Right? But I mean, where does the liability fall within that? And we've taken you used to be, are you still certified for the abatement?
Not anymore. I haven't had a refresher in years.
But when you go through, these types of awareness classes and certification classes, they tell you, right, like that this is why you can't do it, because the next guy that goes to pull this up, now you just adhered something to it, they're going to start pulling it up, and there's that chance of it coming up.
It's flying up,
and then it's in the air already, right?
It's not fair.
It's not fair to them. Yeah. So,
yeah,
I mean, if the paper trail is there, you could be liable for it. And a lot of people other installers don't realize the risk that they're putting themselves at when they do things like this. And the only thing that I can do is kind of chime in and say, hey, this is what we talked about when we were, going through these classes, and this is what was said. And they come back with some ridiculous stuff like, what did he say? What are these 1 hour or these 10-minute talks while you're loading up carpet or something? And they just don't realize that there are classes out there that you can take to broaden your knowledge on certain aspects of things. And you kind of gotta be able to roll with that and know that you don't know everything.
Yeah, just educate yourself. There's, you don't have to take a class, but do some reading, educate yourself on it. Try to prevent having some of those issues. You don't want to be held responsible for making any of that stuff airborne to where it could affect someone and maybe the future health of their child or themselves. So not only in the air, you can carry it on your clothes, take it home with you. There's
not only that, 15 years ago when I did take the certification class, I think each pebble size that you don't have documented to the EPA that you're abating, that they find, dime size piece is a $5,000 fine, each one. So if you got a bag or it's in your
shoes,
in your trash can, or anywhere. So that was a while ago. So I'm sure the fines are a lot higher.
Right.
Just these guys. A lot of these guys, their boss tells them to go rip this up, and they have no idea what they're even.
Hey, I was guilty of that. I was one of them.
Me too.
I remember when I first started doing flooring, we had races to see who can pop the rows first. Who can get to the other side of
Pop,
the
pop,
road.
pop, pop, pop.
Yeah. Why do you think I sound like this? No, that's
No,
not.
that's
really
not,
why I
that's
sound
not,
like this. I could probably sell that one for $1.
but you know, the solution to that problem is, get it tested, start there. That's,
Right.
worry about the abatement later. Let's see if it's hot first.
Don't ever let anybody talk you into doing something that you're not.
We that was the beginning of the end of a relationship. Actually, for us, is we were asked to do an install at a school, and it was over 9x9, which they told us tested positive. It was hot, and we got there, and everything was hollow. It was platforms. It was an acquire room, or it was a choir room, right?
Yeah,
Or a music
band room.
band room. And I remember tapping on the floor, and I was like, man, like, I don't think we can stick to this. And I think we're putting down Tandis. And so I had told Dave, I said, you know, I'm gonna make a phone call. I don't know if they know about this. So I called and they said, yeah, we knew about that. Just install over it. And I was like, well, no, we gotta stick it, and then we gotta double cut it, and then I gotta pull the bottom piece out,
pull
and
out
it
the
could
piece.
pull the tile up, and that, like, I don't think you understand that that's what can happen, and then I'm responsible, not you. No, they know, that's the way we gotta go. And Daniel and I had like, it wasn't even that long of a talk. I think we sat back for about 5 minutes, talked about it, and decided to walk away from that job. I think we left with our guys with nothing to do for the rest of the week because of that. I'm pretty sure we made it up to them, but I couldn't.
Holland High School.
No, I don't remember what it was. It was out in Greenville. I do know that. But sometimes you gotta make decisions that might not seem like the right one for you. But you know, it's not just you have to worry about when it comes to that type of material that should be removed by a professional. What about and we're kind of scattered, guys. Just to be clear, I know that
There's so many issues that can happen on a job
yeah,
site.
and most of our issues are going to be geared more towards commercial. So if there is anybody out there who is primarily residential and you have some issues that you've come across, please chime in, text. I don't know how to read what's going on the screen right now, but please feel free to ask any questions. What about like change order issues, and you know, when they make changes on the fly, does everybody or I know that
Have something a way to track everything that's going on.
yeah, because like we're handling that right now. This is getting really hard to deal with, and you know, we sell our own, and we do our own installs, and then we also still install for other flooring stores. But some of the older gentlemen, I would say, you know, you get a little bit old school, don't necessarily have all the documents in place that make it easier. So we got to kind of like track everything from, we have to ask our guys to track. So if they miss something, and then we go back to the other company and see if they have the information. So, and there's change orders and ads in between all of that. And things are going to get lost. It's going to get lost, but on whose end? You know, is you're going to lose on yours? They can lose on theirs. You know, how do you guys take care of tracking projects, whether they're yours or they're not? How do you guys have your employees track it? Change orders. How does everybody work that out? How do you implement that?
There's no one to answer you right now, but
It's just a general question, shooting it out.
Yeah.
I'm sure that somebody can answer that at some point, and this is going to other social media sites, so
I know, and that's what I'm just saying.
yeah.
But I was gonna say, you know, you always have to have something, right, to keep track of it, because if you look at the verbiage in the contracts that you get, it's always change orders have to be approved before you can start the work, because if you start the work and start doing that and then that change order isn't approved, then you're just doing something for free, and no one wants to work for free.
Or putting yourself in a situation where you're going to be short at the end of the project on material because the change is in the middle of the project and they want you to add a conference room of the same material that you're running down a corridor. Just one of those scenarios.
And then also, if you do a lot of work for stores, it's inevitable you're gonna end up running short on a project, right? It happens probably more times than salespeople like to admit.
And me, recently,
One thing is, don't go to the customer right away. Contact the salesman to see what's going on. Because as we've learned, some of these salesmen just keep stuff in the warehouse as like a security measure or something. And 5 boxes magically pop up out of thin air.
yeah.
So definitely have a relationship with your salesman to where you can communicate like that and not throw them under the bus.
And salesman, man, let them know that you have something extra. Let them know that it's a stock material that you sold the client, in case they are running short or running tight, so they don't have to hit their head against the wall, making sure that they're using every square inch of every piece. We tend to do that as much as we possibly can anyway, but not everybody is as thoughtful. There's a lot of waste involved.
And then the old school guys, right? Because everything that we've been doing and that we've seen done in a lot of the places that we do work for is done electronically. So they're measuring it electronically, they're doing takeoffs and stuff. And it's hard for some people to trust that. We've been in that situation where it's all right, well, if I'm short, it's the computer's fault.
Mhm.
But things change on job sites. We were on one where they took out radiators that were, sitting on the floor next to a wall. And then it's like, all right, well, that radiator was out 1 foot and that whole space is, a couple 100 feet. So you have 1 foot by, 200 feet. That adds up to a lot of square footage and you end up, falling a few pieces short. And it's like, wasn't supposed to be like that, but it's got to roll with the punches and get things done still.
Now, are the employees able to solve problems on their own without calling back to the office or leadership, whether it's your number 1, number 2, number 3? How are those relationships? If a client changes something on the fly and they got to work an additional hour or 2 hours, are your guys' relationships well enough to trust that they're going to make the right decision to save the time for the next day or the rest of the week, or to salvage a relationship? Same thing with the subs. I mean, it's a little bit give and take, right? So I would say that if you are going to have any issues on any job site, I would say try to make sure that your employees and the subs are definitely on the same page as you and your end goal is the same. Because regardless if you are on the project or not, you are trusting the employees there with you or by themselves to help you come up with a solution and make the right decisions.
But I guess what it really boils down to is open lines of communication all the time with everyone when there's issues on the job site, because as an installer, when you're on the job site, you don't want to, it sucks that you got to report these kinds of things, but you have to, right? Because someone's got to pay for all these issues that are coming up, and we just have to know and document everything so that way when it comes down to final billing, everyone's on the same page with everything. So as long as everyone's on the same page, everyone should be all good, and the customer should be happy at the end because they've been involved with everything. So communicate, make sure you get all, you have your reps information, so that way you guys can communicate with the clients, and that'll streamline everything. I think that's really all we had for today. Today was going to be a super quick one. We just wanted to get on here and make sure that we didn't miss a week, since Paul couldn't be here. Missy, Paul, you're really the one that the brainchild.
Not that we didn't have enough time to prepare, but we can never be as prepared as that guy sometimes. This is what he likes to do, and we definitely appreciate what he does.
So I don't see anything coming through. So we're just gonna, call it a week there, and we'll see you guys next week. Paul should be back, and we'll hit the ground running again. I didn't even look what the topic was for next week, but
Here, let me see if I have it right here.
might not have been. Not only that is the person on the other end of the screen is sick, so
I know.
she
Thank you.
she should be sleeping right now, but instead she's on here hanging out with us.
Thanks
So
for
we
hanging
hope you
out.
feel better. All right, guys, everyone, have a good week. We'll see you next week.